This episode of Ask the Masters is brought to you by Watershape Magazine. On today's episode, David Penton sits down with Michael Moore II out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Michael joined the family business in 2003 and proudly serves as president and CEO of Morehead Pools, which is a third-generation family-run business. He has completed many rigorous Genesis 3 design school courses and was awarded top 50 pool builders in the U.S. Enjoy this episode, The Blue Bayou.
Welcome to this week's Ask the Masters program, and I am honored to have my friend Michael Moore here, this is Take two.
That's right.
Tried to do this a few months ago in Dallas, and we weren't able to get it finished, and so we figured rather than trying to cut that with this, we're just going to start all over from scratch. So, Michael, introduce yourself.
I'm Michael Moore with Morehead Pools in Shreveport, Louisiana. We've been in business since 1960. My grandparents acquired the business in the mid-'70s, and I am third generation.
Wow. That's really cool, and I want to talk a little bit about how that all got started because it's really cool. So you're a bit different from many of our guests in that you're actually I wouldn't call you a volume pool builder, but you actually do more significant production type of pools. But what I love about you and why I wanted to have you on is that. You can still hold everything, and you can still be a responsible pool builder, and really hold to good standards and everything. Because there's a bit of a misnomer in the industry that volume pool builders are not that quality, and I don't think, for the most part, that really is the truth. But there is that misnomer, and so. I couldn't think of a better person to kind of dispel that than just hearing kind of your story and all of that.
Yeah, I like to call ourselves a hybrid. We like to consider ourselves high-end, luxury, water-shaped vessels that we do. But yet we're still doing 50 to 60 projects a year. Not really volume, but not like 10 or less.
Right.
Our market, and I don't like to blame things on market, but our market, we're proud of the type of work we do in our market. Some people in larger markets say they don't have the clientele to do the high-end stuff, and I've always subscribed to the fact of you can do nice stuff. It doesn't have to cost $1 million, even though we've done $1 million pool. So it's about what you put into your business, and we have retail and we have service.
Oh wow! So you kind of
we have it all, which is really strange. Most guys that are involved in the building education that we're involved in the high-end construction, they don't come in and say, oh yeah, by the way, I got retail, we sell chemicals, chlorine. Parts, and chlorine. But we do, and that goes back to just who we are, what our model is, what our market is. Retail is our value add to our business. It keeps us in touch with our clients. We're in a big small town or a small city type of atmosphere, and so it's good to kind of be that one-stop shop type of company when it comes to backyard living, and that's kind of what we try to do with our service, our retail, and then obviously our new construction.
Yeah, and one of the things that has always impressed me about you and your business model and everything is that, yes, you are third generation. It's a family business, but you take family to a whole new level. And when we were in Dallas, we kind of started to touch on that because I was sitting in a class with some of your employees, and they were talking about your dad, and one of them actually started to cry, and just talking about what you and what your company has meant to them personally. And so, it's I'd love for you to kind of, I'm going to put you on the spot and embarrass you a little bit, but that model is just so compelling.
Yeah, so that was something that was ingrained in our culture. It really started when my dad took over in the late 90s from my grandparents, and it was more. And I say he started it. They really started it, but he just really pushed the limits to just emphasizing that work culture and that work atmosphere and what that breeds in as I call now today in our current company is disciples. Mm-hmm. We create disciples in departments. And my grandma, it started with my grandparents, teaching employees how to read. And actually one of our key employees, who's a 35-year employee, is a pool cleaner, is our lead pool cleaner that we have on our routes. My grandmother taught him how to read.
So cool.
So that's just a snippet. And then my dad took over. He really just emphasized that family, family, family. Creating the team where we're big sports fans. Our family is, and so my dad was just we modeled a lot of our emphasis in our team and our internal team, service, retail, construction, overall team, in a sports type atmosphere. My dad said, make your teammate an All-American. We're most successful when nobody cares who gets the credit. Just all these little mantras that you hear with football, basketball, team sport coaches. He really pushed that, and he had his 4 E's that he always pushed. First was to educate, which is a foundational principle and a core value of our company. The second was to equip. He said, if I teach them how to do it, but I don't give them the right tools, what have I really done? And the third thing was to edify, encourage, the coach aspect of him. And the fourth one was to empower, which is you can make decisions. I've trained you, I've came to the level, I'm going to empower you. So if we subscribe to those 4 E's, and which came from him, and that's just something we've just kind of built on over the years. And we still try to improve it every day. We're nowhere where we want to be. As another thing you used to say, we're either getting better or we're getting worse every day. We're never staying the same. And so we're always trying to change our trajectory and get better.
You said something interesting that actually strikes me. That last one, empower. Within the luxury pool marketplace, there's not really a lot of room for mistakes. I do that with my guys too. I try to give them the power and allow them to make decisions. Sometimes there are decisions that are not optimum, and sometimes we have to go back. But I feel like you're probably similar to me in that you don't penalize your crew for that. We all make mistakes, and we all have to make judgment calls and make decisions. So I like to be able to see another company that holds that as a value, yet is also putting out good, high quality product.
Well, and one thing that Empower will do, if you do it the way we want to do it, which we think is the right way, is it'll circle back to educate. So if you empower an employee or a team member to make a decision and not have to call the office or just empower them, maybe they make the wrong decision. We make mistakes every day. I make them every day. Of course, we say we don't fail. We just learn. We win and we learn, or we do both. So if you empower them and they make that decision and it's wrong, that's an education opportunity. And so we come back in and we say, you know what, I could have sent you to the national show or to a regional show and spent $5,000 on classroom, board, etc. But that mistake cost me $2,500, but I think the education aspect of it was just as valuable as sending you to a class and talk about leak detection or whatever the case may be. So if you do it the right, proper way, that empower will circle back to educate, and then it'll just continue to flow.
Yeah, and that what I have found with my team, and I'm sure you have as well, is that it creates a sense of pride in them. And some of the lower, we have one of our guys, Antonio. He's been with me forever. Antonio, his role is his role, and he's not going to be a lead plumber, he's not going to be a lead electrician, but he is just as key a player on our team as the guy out there, setting our tile or doing anything like that. It's allowing people to have the confidence and flourish within their God-given right and the position within the company.
One of the things we do as a company, as a team, is, and my dad did start it years ago, is about every second to third year we'll go on a company cruise.
Oh wow!
We'll shut the place down. We pay for everybody, all the team members, and they can pay for their spouse. They can upgrade to luxury suites if they want. We do it in a payroll deduction, so it's not just cash out of their pocket. It's like $20 a week, and it's something they can financially and fiscally do. Even someone at a lower level, entry level position. What the emphasis on that one, what it did, and what we found it did is, on a cruise ship, you break bread every evening together as a group. And so my dad really emphasized that it's amazing you get to know a team member when you break bread with them and the things that you do in that aspect. And that correlates, we come back, and all of a sudden a guy in construction can empathize and can understand a pool cleaner or a service tech or somebody in retail or a designer in construction or in the design department. They can empathize with him. They can understand, you know what, I understand his job. He understands mine. I'm going to do extra to make him easier. He's going to help me make my job easier.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it just goes back to family too. I mean, you go on vacation with your family.
That's right.
And so you have to learn to like each other.
And we generally do it the week of Thanksgiving because it's only like a 2-day work week for us. And so we find that we have Thanksgiving. One year we had Thanksgiving Day on Orient Beach, which was awesome.
Oh, wow. That's
So
cool.
we have a lot of those kind of cool stories, and that's just kind of breeding into that culture of family that we want to emphasize, and it creates long tenured employees. 30, 35 years. We just had a 38-year retire. We've got, the ladies that you met, Carl and Krista, in our operations office. They're 15, 16 year. We've got a 20-year. We've got a lot of long tenured employees, and if we can get the lower level to buy into the family atmosphere that the disciples or the higher team members are selling downstream, then it just creates an upward culture that we want to, changes the trajectory of our business.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about where you came from, because that's really cool, fascinating story, how your grandfather got started in it and all of that. I mean, take me all the way back to the beginning.
So my grandmother worked, my last name's Moore. We are Morehead. There isn't a Mr. Head that we were partners with. We get that a lot, or I get called Michael Morehead a lot, but that's cool. It always breeds for an interesting conversation and story.
Sure.
But my grandmother was his operations, for lack of a better term, manager back in the 60s. My grandfather was a pole climber for the power company, and he shot shotcrete for Morehead Pools on the weekends.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of, that was a 30 pool company back then. And in 75, they wanted to buy him out. And so my grandmother actually orchestrated the deal, and she was actually the owner of the company. My grandfather was an employee, which, there's no records. I don't think we could prove it, but there was always a long-standing deal of she was probably the first woman pool company owner in the country in 75,
Wow.
which is probably close to true. There's a few other older ladies in the industry that owned some companies back then. But nonetheless, so my grandparents took it over in 75 and went all the way. My grandmother passed away in 99, and my grandfather kind of retired. He was our consultant. Basically, we gave him a truck and said, just drive around and check on the guys every day. So my dad took ownership. My mom works in operations. My sister's in the business. My wife runs our retail operations. So, not only blood family, we got our non-blood family and our company family, but, in 03, I graduated from college, came home and got knee-deep in the business. Of course, I cleaned trash cans as a kid. I cleaned pools one summer. I tied steel and plumbing. I was a plumbing assistant. I did a little bit of retail. So I've done just about everything in the business at one point or another, whether it be shotcrete, steel, plumbing, plaster. So I've done a few. I haven't done any pebble finishes. I wasn't popular back in the mid-90s in my market. More white plaster only, but hey, I've had a trowel in my hand a few times.
Cool. So was that always the understanding, is that you would grow up and you would move into the family business?
Absolutely not.
No?
No. I went to school to be a doctor.
Really?
So I signed a football scholarship out of college. Out of high school, went to college, and went pre-med for a year. And after the first year of college, it was grueling. Came out with like a 3.8, which is great. I was pumped. And so my mentor or administrator started laying out the next 8 to 10 years of my life. And I just kind of got this glazed look over my face and said, I'm going to rethink this path. I'm just not I didn't like school per se that much. I was ready to get out and do stuff. And that just so happened to coincide with the year my grandmother passed away, and my dad took over the business. And, whether it was, more of the good Lord probably just leading me in that direction, just saying, the urge inside of me said, you know what, I'm going to come home and I'm going to get in the family business. So my sophomore year, I made that decision, changed my major to business marketing with a minor in management, and got my degree and then came home.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was that how was that bringing that to your parents? I mean, were they because doctor to construction company? I mean, that's a bit of a big jump.
It is, but they wanted me to be happy, and they said, "Are you sure? And are you absolutely positive?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sure. That's what I want to do." And so we just began to make those plans. I came home and I was just going to be in marketing for the company for a little bit of a time. And about 3 months after, one of our lead designers put in his resignation, wanted to go out on his own. And my dad said, "Hey, go sell pools." And so that's when I packed up and I said, "Okay." And so that's when I began to seek out that industry education of, design, construction, and we started really investing in educating our employees, starting with me, and then kind of disseminating that down to our design team, our service team, our retail team, our construction team. Even our middle management in construction has been to internal education. We've sent them out to other builders, and that's another thing we like to do is share with other builders, like yourself. And we'll send somebody on the other side of the country for a week at a time and just be a worker for them and absorb their processes and what they do. And we find that's very successful when they come back and implement little tweaks in our process.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time and a really actually very exciting time I feel like we're in the pool industry right now, as kind of the industry offerings are expanding for education. You're working with the Master Pool Guild, Watershed University. I mean, there's this whole kind of morphing and growing of other opportunities, and I'm really getting excited about the fact that it's moving beyond just the executives, guys like you and me. They're trying to bring it down and bring more of the middle management and key players in there and educating them. I mean, you've been doing it for a while, but that's...
I think that's where it's at. I think once everybody realizes that, there's no secret sauce. There's just kind of the right way to do things on any level, whether it be rooftop pools that are $3 or $4 million in LA, or whether it be just simplistic entry-level quality pools in a backyard here in Louisiana somewhere. There's no secret sauce, and if you should invite your competition or perceived competition to the table, because if you help elevate their game, all it does is elevate everybody else, and it gets the mantra of the pool guy, or the dirty industry reputation that we seem to have, or our industry seems to have, of leaving projects unfinished, taking people's money, and just leaving and shutting down or going out of business and starting up a new one. It starts to calm it and just elevates our industry, and we start becoming the professionals that we should be in the consumer's eyes. And once you kind of get that mantra of just, I don't want my competition to know what I do. No, man, I'm going to show you what I do, because hopefully you'll pick up on it and it'll elevate your game, which will elevate everybody's game.
Sure. I'd love to talk a little bit about Master Pool Guild and everything, because it fits right in with what the way you run your business and the way you run everything, and it's a really intriguing organization and how you guys give back. So for someone not familiar with the MPG, what is the Guild and who are you? And
the Master Pools Guild is a group of like-minded builders, mainly concrete construction builders. Some have service and retail like myself, some have only service and construction, some have just building only. They have no service, no retail. But mainly is building, new construction, concrete, shotcrete construction. We come together all over the U.S., North American continent, and then several international, from Australia to UK to Spain, Guatemala. We've got builders all over the world, and continue to expand with that, but mainly North America. We come together twice a year, sometimes 3. It's a sharing of ideas. It's a brotherhood. It's very similar to what we're talking about, where you get in a room, you say, I was having this issue, or you know what, I made this mistake, you don't make it. Or, best thing I did for my business this year was X. And then you can take those ideas back to your own marketplaces and improve your business. But also, we're about industry education and giving back. Encouraging, teaching adults, people how to swim. Not just kids. Adults need, if they know how to swim, if they enjoy water, if they enjoy, recreational water, whether it be, boats and, scuba diving. There you go. See, scuba diving, boats, whatever it be, recreational water. That encourages to have water in their backyard, which elevates our business. And so we're really a group of like-minded builders who are about getting better. I mean, much like what we do at our own level, getting better at what we do, improving our craft, but also, giving back to what's been given us.
Sure. Yeah, and that's one of the things I've appreciated throughout my educational journey is just even people within my marketplace that we can share ideas and there's no threat. When I came into the LA market, there were 4 of my instructors were in the same marketplace, and I was not a threat to them. They took me under their wings, and it's really what it's all about. I heard the statement, rising tide raises all ships. And so really, I love that the guild kind of puts that into practice. And
there's enough work for everybody. There really is, especially the quality. The quality people are trying to put out the best product. There's enough work for us all. It's just a matter of elevating everybody's game.
So what's new on the horizon for you guys? What are you having fun with? What are you?
What's new for Morehead Pools, I guess?
Well, just in general.
In general, I mean,
LSU's got a game this weekend.
Oh yeah, we can talk football. I mean, again, we're a heavy athletic. My family's heavy athletics. All 3 of my children play sports. Mandatory team sports.
Okay.
But we don't mandate what sport it is. They get to choose, but they have to play a team sport, and that just goes back to my mentality of, to me, there's nothing greater than teaching young kids about life than a team sport. Whether it be my daughter is softball, my middle daughter is basketball, soccer, and my son is baseball, and he just started football this year. Mm-hmm. And of course, I played football through college, and to me, it's the ultimate life lesson sport. I mean, there's nothing more that you get knocked and punched in the mouth, and you have no choice but to get up or lay there, and that's life. Mm-hmm. And so that's on the horizon for the Moore kids or the Moore family. Morehead Pools, we just launched our rebrand, which was really cool. About 20 years we've been in our kind of logo, and that was in place for 30 years prior to that. And so we rebranded our company to reflect a little more modern message that we have, but also we've instilled our core values, which is something we've never really had in place, but something, again, that if you get everybody believing in the things that you believe in as a company, it just goes better. And then on the Master Guild level, we're about to rebrand as well. Here at the show, we're launching our rebrand, kind of a global thing that we've done that kind of freshen it up, modernize it, and really reach to the consumer. I think that's some of the struggle that this industry has, and not on the local level. We go directly to the consumer, but on the national level, whether it be the national associations or the Master Pools Guild or Carecraft or Aquatech, whoever that might be, all the national groups, I think they missed the boat or have in the past of quit marketing internally. Let's get to the consumer and then have the consumer come to people like ourselves, which is, are you a Master Guild member? The first time somebody in a living room says, "Are you a Master?" Then you've hit it.
Right.
And I don't know if that's happened to you yet, but it ain't happened to me. So that tells me we still have a lot of ground to make up as an industry and as groups.
Yeah, and that's we were involved with International Swim Day last year, and sort of the culmination of all of these ideas and trying to get outside of the pool industry itself, but also just trying to get the buying public aware of, hey, there are people and there are good quality guys out here doing things not necessarily only within the industry, and there are good quality builders that exist, and just come find us, and to be able to have places where we can all kind of congregate together.
That's right.
So
absolutely
cool. Well, I'm thankful that you were on the show.
I'm honored to be here. Honored to be here.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, and go LSU.
Yeah, go Tigers.
Have a good one.
I bet.
Ask the Masters is dedicated to educating, mentoring, and designing a better workplace for the swimming pool industry and their families. Please take a moment to share, like, and review our content with all of those that would be interested.